We are back with Ed here at Blue Steel Adventure Talks, and if you haven't seen the first video, please watch that first. You'll get a lot of background of what's going on here. I want to talk about the effects that police and SWAT work have on the individuals who are involved in it. You told us off camera a particularly interesting story. I would like you to start with that, even though it was not within SWAT.
Absolutely. So this incident occurred, I was with our street crimes unit. Basically, I was a plainclothes officer. We did narcotics work, investigations, drug purchases, whatever it took. So I just happened to be in, I guess, the wrong area at the right time sort of thing. So a call goes over the radio. I'm not in a marked patrol car. I'm not in a uniform. Just goes over that, can you respond over to this person's residence? We had known this person, we'd had dealings with him multiple times. He was a very, very heavy drug user. So fast forward, I respond to the call. I'm the first person on scene. I get to let them know that I'm there, and lo and behold, here comes the gentleman that we're looking for. And as he approaches me, I can see that and it's funny because I said, once again, it looked like Jesus Christ. He had long stringy hair. He had the beard going, but in his hair, you could see there was something in his hair. And at that point in time, I didn't know what it was. But he had blood on his face. He had blood spatter on his hands. So I basically turn around and say, hey, come here. I handcuff him. I throw him in the back of my car. I know that other officer are on the way, but my thing is, I see the blood. I want to get inside the house and get in there as soon as I possibly can. As I go to the house, my sergeant arrives, and it's funny because we were one of the first departments to actually have in-car videos, so we were always they were mic'd up, you could hear everything going on. So I'm like, listen, we got to get in the house. We can't wait for anybody else to come. Let's go. So he's like, let's go. I got you. So I take the point, and I was with the SWAT team at that time. So once again, he relied on my training and experience. He's like, go for it. Let's do it. Breach the door. We go in, start clearing the house. And the first thing, and it's still to this day, the craziest thing, because I didn't even realize I said it, was, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And what had happened was I walked in, and as we're clearing, I saw parts of an elderly woman. And when I say parts, it was because she was dismembered. Her head was cut off, her hands were cut off at the wrist, her feet were cut off at the ankles, and she had multiple stab wounds on her. Nothing we can do for her. Let's continue to clear the house, go upstairs, clear the house itself, and come to the final room in the back of the building. And now this may seem cold or whatever, but it's the way that law enforcement is. And I remember exactly what I said. As I get to the last door, my sergeant was with me still, and I made a joke. I turned around and I said, we don't know what's behind this door. I can break this door down, and it can be like Psycho. If you haven't seen the movie Psycho,
Oh, yeah.
That's the sound it makes that when the person's being stabbed, And that was my way of calming myself down, was making humor out of it, whether it's dark or whatever. Breach the door, go in, and on the floor is a person. And I say a person because I didn't know if it was a man or a woman. I didn't know whether they were young or old or whatever. So once again, this person was dismembered also. There was a huge medieval, like, gladiator freaking hatchet there. And this person, the reason why I remember this is because the person's head was in the crook of their own arm. So on the ground, they're laying on the ground. Once again, their head was in their arms, and this person also had their hands and feet cut off also, and multiple stab wounds in the chest. So yeah, so it was one of those situations where it was very overwhelming, but you have to just keep on moving, whatever it is. It's one of those things where if it affects you, it's gonna affect the way you proceed and the way you're gonna perform in your job duties.
But the question that comes to my head too is, who made the call, or how did you guys even go there in the first place?
He had called.
So he had called.
He had called and said, there's dead bodies in my house. So it turns out it was his grandmother and his ex-girlfriend / mother of his child.
So you, of course, are stumbling, as it were, upon all of this. It's not a death or deaths that you had caused, but it's certainly on the darkest side of humanity.
Yes.
How does that affect you? I don't mean at the time. You have to continue doing your job at the time. I mean afterwards.
So here's the thing, and this is a joke between me and my wife. At the time, she was my girlfriend. So by the time the situation had calmed down, it was probably 4 or 5 hours before we had, given the scene to the crime scene investigators and stuff. And I turn around and I go to my house. I lived with my girlfriend at the time, and I have lunch. I ate lunch. I was starving. It had been 5 hours since I'd eaten something. And I ate lunch, and I tell her the story, and it's funny because my wife knew him. My wife knew the gentleman who had committed the murders. So much so they were friends. Like they knew each other. They hung out back in high school and stuff like that. So when I'm telling the story, and she's like, "How can you eat?" I go, "I'm hungry." You know, that's basically what it comes down to it. And it's one of those things where you become desensitized to a lot of things. You know, my department was a very, very busy police department. You know, death, suicides, overdoses, that was just an everyday occurrence. And if the thing is if you took it home with you every day, it would affect your life somehow. And the thing is that, am I saying being desensitized is a good thing? No, it's not. You know,
but it's a necessary.
It is. It's a necessary evil. You know, yeah, you have dark humor. You joke about things that you shouldn't be joking about, or you know, considered taboo maybe. But that's your outlet. That's how you let things go. Because if you don't, you bring them home. You take it to your kids. A post-traumatic stress, disorder, basically, where you're holding it in and it's eating you up inside. So I don't know whether it was my military training, whether it was my law enforcement training, whether it was my SWAT training, that gave me that level to be able to work through it and not bring it home with me. Now, is that to say that I still don't see those images in my head? No, not at all. I still see those images. I see, the first child I saw, pass, the first, person I did CPR on, it just happened to be Christmas, and it was Christmas Eve, and I'm like, I'm doing CPR on this guy, and I'm like, you're not dying on Christmas. You're not dying on Christmas. So just doing CPR on somebody like that. But those are things that you remember. And the thing is, like I said, if you ever let it hold on to it and you can't get it out somehow, then it's going to eat you up from the inside.
I have talked with people with military experience who've killed in combat, or have seen people die in combat, seen their brothers die in combat. And they have told me it isn't the combat itself, and it isn't the experiences in the combat. It's the fact that nobody knows what you've been through.
Yes.
How is that? Does that affect the SWAT people too, when they're not with other SWAT team members?
Well, it's 100%, because the people you discuss this with are the people that are in your circle, the people that understand what's going on, the people that have been through what you've been through. They've gone through that door before, the unknown. They've gone in and dealt with situations that 99% of the world will never ever see. Special ops, military personnel, to go in through a door and to have to take a life is that's another level. But it's still the same thing. You only discuss that with the people you can relate to with it. Telling your wife, telling your kids, that's not really the way it works. It really isn't. You may tell, people, this is what I experienced, this is what happened, but they'll never truly understand.
So it's very, very much the same on that. Do you have any regrets for your time in SWAT?
No, never. I made some of the best friends in the world with my SWAT team. I was showing you before. Yeah. I am extremely close to at least 5 or 6 of my former teammates To this day, we're all retired now, except for one guy who's actually the team commander now, who I'm still very close with. But it's one of those things where if my phone rings and I see it's one of my guys, I don't give a crap what I'm doing. That bond that I built with these guys is by far the best thing ever.
I absolutely believe that. What advice would you give someone who is considering police work, but especially SWAT work, for a career?
Check your ego at the door. Check it at the door, because no matter how good you think you are, you're not. I don't give a crap who you are. You could, we've never had a Navy SEAL come on our team, but once again, that's still, they learn different tactics than what we learned. We had our way, and our way is the way we taught. So even if we did have somebody from Navy SEALs come, they would have to learn our way no matter what. So, check your ego at the door. Check your ego at the door, shut your mouth, and learn. That is what I told every one of my people that came on my team. Don't talk to me for a year. Don't talk to me. I don't need to know who you are. I don't want to know who you are. You may not be here next month, because you need to shut your mouth, you need to do your job, and you need to check your ego at the door, because if you think you're good, there's always someone better.
Thank you very much. This has been remarkably enlightening to us. I appreciate you getting into this, getting into the more of the difficult stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching this. Be sure to like and subscribe. Click the buttons down below. And thank you for being here.